Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US tech stocks, and we're looking at the SPX here, and we'll look at the NDX as well, and we're looking at a wave 3 over here over to a wave 4 over here. We're looking at an expanded flat correction with an A wave, a B wave and a C wave down here. It is possible to call a low in here, and there is good volume on this particular low here from Friday. We see increasing volume here on this. It's like this bar that went up here, but it was actually lower volume than the previous bar, so this one's increasing volume over this, so we should expect some sort of little movement sort of up here, but I'm thinking it's part of this wave 4 here, and then one more little move down here. So takeaway here is that it's possible to have a low in here, but it's also possible to have on the count to have another low come in place here, and this is exactly the same for stocks. Now we've got stocks like Apple that are holding up quite well, and Google, and there's other sort of more bearish stocks like Tesla that still need to come down. So we're in the same situation with stocks. It's like we could call lows in some places, and other places it looks a little bit more sort of bearish. So I believe that the best strategy is just to wait and gather some more information. We know that obviously we're quite close to having a low in place, so there's roughly the same amount of days in this A wave to the B wave here within a day or two, so we're kind of looking at much the same here as well, so it'd be nice to see that sort of equality. But if we just go in here for a second, just cut straight through to the intraday here, and let me just go this a little bit. The first 5 waves down here is easy peasy, easy to count. And then in this section, it gets a little bit more difficult here. And I'm just looking at it as wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave here. And then the fourth wave here, how this plays out, and may come back up to cover that gap up here on the minor wave 4 here. I'm not too sure how this is going to play out. It could be possible that we just come straight down here as well. It's possible that we got the low in here. This little leg here is not the cleanest as well. And in this case here, we can count 1, 2, and look at all of this coffee in here as a wave 2 in here, and then the third wave, fourth and fifth. But on the NASDAQ, this low is not the low, this low here is the low. So there's a little bit of, it needs a little bit of clarity. I don't have a lot of clarity in this particular structure. Also, this wave 4 here overlaps wave 1, but I'm okay with that for the time being. So yeah, I could look at this. I could I can't put wave 4 there on this one, because this is lower than this one because I could go wave 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here and 5 here, and have a straight move down here and finish off here for this. So I mean, that's possible, but on the NASDAQ, this top here is just a tad higher than this one here, so that doesn't sort of fit very well either. So there's a few, just doesn't fit quite well. Whichever way I look at it, there's issues. So I just think we need a little bit of maturity and just wait for this to move out. And let's just say that this pushes up here, and we and it could be bullish and just keep going. But if we looked at this move here as, the move comes up here and we get some little sort of pullback here, and we do get a move up here, well, that move there would be, eventually would be 5 waves in here. So basically anything above that 5 waves, then we could look to go long above that, right? Because beyond 3 waves would be impulsive at that point. Yes, we would be a bit higher up here, but I think even though we don't get the best price, we get a safer journey to the to the upside as well. So yeah, look, a little bit of patience to see how this plays out. Like I said, it could just drop straight down from here. We could get a consolidation, push up and drop down, or we could even just continue to push up. So there's just not enough clarity for me to call a direction in here just yet for this, and this will be the same for the NASDAQ as well here. Now, obviously, as I've mentioned before, the 20,000, it's got a lot of zeros there, so there's lots of support there for this. In this case, I was looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 down here for the third wave, the fourth and the fifth. Now, how that plays out, I'm not quite sure yet, but I just think we'll just give it a little bit of time. It's not going to move far from the 20 at this case, because it'll need to, it does need, if it's going to be bullish, it does need to test it, and once it's done that testing, it will become, a bit more obvious about how we could approach it, because really, it's not, obviously we could buy down here, but the thing is just managing the exposure, because we don't know how far, let's just say this wave 4 is correct here and we come down for wave 5. I've got wave 5 here, but we end up coming down to the 1900 here. Well, then, that's not going to be a good look for me, is it? I mean, in this game, you're only good as your last call. So we just need to be a little bit more patient here. We were patient. We waited for the bounce. We knew it wasn't going to go very far and all these sorts of things. So just keep playing it out. So this is really the same. Now we're going to have a look at stock, and this is the same story for moving into stock. Now, some stock are a bit more positive than others. This is Apple here. We do have a bearish count for Apple as well, but I'm just going to play the bullish count today. It's not going to go very far. We were in here. Last time we spoke, we wanted to finish this off. So in this little move here, we could count 5 waves up into this little move here. So that becomes a little bit more sort of interesting at this point. So we could start looking at how to work a wave 1 at this point. I don't know if this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for this and then have an ABC back, or we need to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. But I do want to wait for the next little move up, because that would be in line with the NASDAQ, and if it pulls back, then we'll get it, So in a bit of a nutshell here, let's just say it pushes up in one way or another, then it's going to push back like this. Then that leaves us open here to go long on this B wave here. That's kind of what we're looking at. Now, it might be a little bit higher up, it might be a little bit lower. We just need to also wait that out as well. I mean, we've got a position in here and all that anyway, but I still like to point out trades when we can. And also taking the B wave, if it does push up here, taking the top of the B wave out here is fantastic, because then it confirms that the move down here is corrective, and then we don't have to look at the bearish count. This will be the bullish count. Because the bearish count is basically from this top over here, an A wave here, an ABC for the B wave up here, and then the C wave coming down here further, so we don't have to look at that, So anyway, just be a little bit more patient, and we'll sort of get through that as well. Over to Amazon. Okay, over to Amazon, and just before we go there, we can see these little A's over here. This is Alessio's count. That's his main count, and that's his secondary count, copy alternative count. So you'll just be able to click on this now, and this will be Alessio's count here. He just normally works on daily charts, so that needs to be pushed over here, but he's looking at this as 1 and 2 here. So that's more bullish than I am, so that's fantastic. But he's also still searching for a low here as well, by the looks of it. But I'm just pointing out that you'll start to see these populate for different analysts here, so you'll be able to see their count here. Pretty much, once they've updated it here, then what they do is they put their charts onto the chat lounge, and then later on Angel will come along and put them in the analysis tab on the website. So this will be the quickest way to get to those counts, and you can always just copy this count from up here and send it to the chat section and ask for an update on that. Obviously everybody's we've got 8 analysts now, and they're all in different time frames, different time zones, so you need to be a little bit patient on that. Some of the other analysts may help at different times if they can. Okay, so I can count from the top here down to the bottom here. I can count a low in here. Now there is a little bit of issues like wave 4 overlapping wave 1 here. Seeing the move to the upside here looks quite sort of positive, but it does leave a bit of space for this to come down here as well. So one of the things that if I was going to go long, then I would want I'd want to see the first high above the level, and then I'll start working the trade from that point. So from this top and then down to this top. So we don't have a top here yet, so I need that to push up. And even if it pushed up, let's just say it's totally wrong, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, then it's even better at that point. Do you know what I mean? We get 5 waves here. I'm talking about just getting the next top here going long on. So, if we got 5 waves up there, that would be fantastic. And I have to say, I do like a market when it plays out like this. You see how it's come down. So we're working with this number here, and when a market's coming down, a lot of people you can always buy at the number, there'll always be a bounce, but don't expect too much from it. But I like it when a market comes down, has its bounce, and it's like a ball. There might be a second bounce in there it's always lower, and then it eventually goes through, and then it tries to go back and retest it. Now, it may do this and fail. It may do this here and then fail here, make another low, and that's why we wait for the first high above the level. But I like it when it's it comes down and bounces here, comes under the level like it's doing now, and then eventually finds support on this level, because then I know that it's spent some time developing a low here, and it's got all the accumulation, everything sort of in play. So what's actually going on here is actually a good part of the process. We're just not quite there yet in terms of getting the best timing for what's occurring at this stage, but getting there. Nvidia. Okay, so once again, here I'm searching for a low. I could call a low in here. We've got, if I just go back a little bit here, we've got this wave 3 over here. So we've basically got an A wave here, a B wave, ABC coming up here for the B wave, and then we're coming down for the C wave here. So I'm counting 5 waves down. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could call a low in here as well. Now, it might be possible that this wave 4 here, all of this here is just wave 1 here, and we go back for wave 2, and then we go down again. So in this case, we end up with a little A, B, and C here for this, and then go down for 3, 4, 5 here. So we just need to be a bit careful about how we go about this. We're just not there yet. We could be, but we might not. I just don't have enough evidence. If the wave structure was perfect coming down here, then that would be fine. We could work that. But there's in most of the structures coming down, they're fine, but there is parts of them that are not fine that could be interpreted in different ways. So that's a bit of a weak spot. So we can't tick that box. We can't use this countdown here to say that's the low and we can go in at that point. We need more evidence of a move to the upside first. Okay, so let's have a look at Meta. Once again, here as well, I can also call a low in, but I'm not that happy with the count. The count's okay, coming down from the top here is the A, the B, and the C wave here for this. Wave 4 overlaps wave 1 over here for this. Actually, I've got that completely wrong there. It still doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can still see 2. Doesn't matter. So apologies about that, but the same thing applies here as well. So we'll probably be looking at that, but the medium level here is really, we're not going to go long until we get the first high above this level here. So it would be something like this. So we need that 650 to become the medium level at that point. So I can't do it at that stage. I'm still, I could. yeah, whichever way I look at it, it's still, there's just problems with this one as well. Anyway, we have to wait for that to play out at this point. So I'm just going to remove this one here. I have to put that back over here and this one over here for this, but I just wanted that 5 waves down here for this, and I was looking at the best way to, I can get it, but it's not as good. And then I've still got this overlap here as well. Anyway, we need that number there to be long on at this point, and it's just not there yet. Okay, so over to Netflix. And once again, I can see, and you could see as well, we've got this leg, we've got the sideways leg here, and then we got this leg down here, which came down rather sharp. And if they come down sharp, they can snap back just as quick, but also it tells us that, it's not like a normal sort of end here. So this whole area in here, as I've mentioned before, can be counted in different ways. I've got it here as 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, and ABC for the fourth wave, and the fifth wave here with the smaller ABC, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, it's doable. Does it look right? It looks okay, but, and we are getting 5 waves up here, but this could be a wave 4. All of this could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down here as well. So even though we can call the low in here, I think we still need to wait. This is the 900 here, which is a medium level. This is where it's going to play out from. If it was going to pull back to this point here, we could look at the 38.2%, which is just above the 900 there anyway. So we'll just give it a little bit more time. It's not the one that we want to go in on at this point. Google's looking a bit better on the bullish side. Okay, so with Google here, we can also call a low in here, and we've seen a bit more progress to the upside. It's a little bit like Apple, it's in fact it's sort of moved on from Apple really. Apple's got this 3-wave move here. So there's a couple of different ways to count this as well. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then have an ABC here for this. So if we get that next session, because if we're looking at markets coming down, then we will be left with that top there, and we could go long on the second high here for this. It could be catch me out and have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then sort of really move to the upside. So that's sort of doable as well. One of the things that I like about this, we're actually in group 2, so 165 is the lower end of group 2, 165, and then 72 in here. So we've kind of got support on 72, and then there's 65, 72, and that's a bigger group, and 80 up here, 180. So we're in group 2, which is a positive thing. But once again, I just want to give it a little bit more time here to just develop a little bit further on the rest of the market to sort of be in place as well. But we can look at Google as being a bit of a leader off the current lows. That hasn't been the case for a long time, but it's certainly the case now. So Google and Apple are ones that you may not trade, but they're ones that you should look at before you trade anything else, because if these guys are not leading, because they're leading at the moment, if they lose their lead, then something's not quite right, at that point. Microsoft. Okay, so we've talked about this before as well. Also looking for a low here. I've got 5 waves up here. We've got 3 waves here. This is little 5 here. If this top here gets taken out, I suppose I could look at that as 5, 2. I could go 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So we'll just wait. It's basically if we get support on top of the 400 here, then we'll go with that. But basically, it's the same old story. We need to see we need to see the first high above the level. That's what we're looking for in all of these markets. Once we've got that, then we can start looking at long trades. We need the market to prove to us that it's there, and we need that particular pattern so we can manage our initial exposure in moving into the markets as well. Buying the dip is fine if loosely speaking, buying the dip or buying a pullback and all those sorts of things. If if you're taking if you're an investor or hodler and you're taking a much longer term position, then it doesn't matter so much. But we're we're a little bit more surgical in what's happening at this in these markets. So okay, so over to Tesla, and there's a lot of flack about Elon at the moment, isn't there? So yeah, we're not quite at this low just yet either here. I mean, you can kind of see this is the fastest part of the trend here, so it's kind of the middle of everything, So we still need more here. I mean, we'd have to expect to bounce off the 250. That was our sort of little quiet target sort of area, and those sort of things. So I just think there's a bit more to come here yet. So we don't need to do anything here just yet. I can see that Trump are changing the government cars. They were going to spend $385,000 on vehicles, but Elon's got a contract with Trump to buy $400 million worth of Cybertrucks or something or other. It sounds like they'll need that protection, I think. If they're driving around, what's happening at the moment, it's crazy times, I have to say. So yeah, we're not there yet. But you can also notice too that you can see that, from this point down to this point, you can see that there's a lot more consolidation in the price action as well, So it is sort of shoring up a little bit, So we're kind of close to that low. We just got to figure it out a little bit more. So nothing to do here yet. And let's go over to Bitcoin. So I might just head out here to the daily chart just for a moment. Now we're going to have a look at two counts. Now one of them is from me and one's from our analyst Kitty Upon, and this particular count here, this count is in line with the NASDAQ, and it's in line with the NASDAQ in that we need to make another low, as we talk about in tech stocks today, and then we can push up here, and then pull back for another wave 4 at this point, larger wave 4, and then push up again from that point. This, as I've always said, this is it's really all about this number, and this is the arrival, and this is the reaction that we're getting. This will be the first high above the level, and then this will be the correction, and then we can go up from that point. It's basically it's basically this pattern here. So we've had the arrival, we're pulling back into the reaction here, then we'll have this, and then we'll have this and this. Now there are different patterns in its previous incarnations because 100,000 is trading level 1, but major trading level 1 is also at other levels like 1 cent and 10 cents and $1 and $10 and 100 and 1,000 and 10,000, and there's 3 different sorts of patterns. So when you get sort of the market sort of comfortable and it's sort of plodding along and it's in wave 4s and 5s, you're going to get this sort of pattern here. If you're sort of in a more of a bullish pattern, you're going to get this particular pattern here where you're in like a bit of a third wave where the market has the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, retests it and goes off again because it's in more of a parabolic sort of state. And then you have this one here, which is, where the market is really quite strong here, and it doesn't stop at the level, but it eventually comes back down. Now, this is what happened at basically at $10,000 and $100 or $1,000. I can't remember. 1,000, 100. I can't remember. 1,000, 10,000. We had this move straight up here, and and then a move across here like this. So, they're the basic three patterns that we're looking at. Now, Kitty Upon has got the pattern here, which I also like a lot as well. I think it's a fantastic counter. It just makes a lot of sense as well. In that we can look at all of this as wave one to the upside, and then an A wave, so coming down lower as well. We'll have a look at that, how he's counted that as the A, the B, and the C wave here, and then moving up from that point. Now, obviously there's a lot of support in this area here, and the number, well, he's got it at 50's a major level, then 65 and 72 and 80 are all, we've seen the market bounce off the 80. And then breaking that count down into the A wave here, he's got it. So we've got this A wave here. So coming down into this A wave here, we can look at it like this here as he's got it here as 1 and 2 here and 3, some triangle pattern here for 4, and then down for 5. So he's got it also counted a little bit more differently here as well. But I think this is, I think it's fine. We noted, when we spoke last week, I was speaking about this here being in 3 waves to the upside. I could count this as 5 waves coming down here. And last video we spoke about this, I could only count 3 waves up here. So I figured that it was going to be sort of moving down. So with that in mind, if we just drill into this little section here a little bit further into the 15-minute chart here on this charting program, I've removed the count here, but we could view this as 3 waves up. We had that extra little wave in here, which is a bit sort of unusual. Trades over the weekend type thing. And also, while we're here and talking about tech stocks, the NASDAQ is going to change its 5-day-a-week trading to 24 hours a day through that five trading days. So that's going to be sort of interesting. I've put that in our chat lounge, so you can get a link to that. So I could count this up as 3 waves. I could count this down as 5, and I could count this up as 3. So we were waiting for the first high. This is why we wait for the first high above the level, because we'd wait for the first high above the level and go long above that point, And that's why we do it, because it can fade at that point, and this is exactly what it's doing. And this is the short trade set up under here, but I don't need to talk about that at the moment. But the main point here is that that we should be coming down. So I haven't counted this in here. I could have this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, or all of this as 1 and 2. It doesn't really matter. We'll see if we get the triangle pattern, or we get this 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. This would be about the right timing that we would sort of need for the NASDAQ as well, and those tech stocks as such. So we could be down. I was sort of thinking of 72 to 75. That's always been my sort of little target area there, with support on the 80 there, but give or take a bit of this or that. As you probably know as well, Trump's signed up for the reserve, but they haven't committed any money to it, and that's another story. But I always sort of think that that changing the banking regulation for the banks to transact in Bitcoin is a bigger event. because that's where all the that's where all the money is, really, isn't it? It's people keep money at the banks, and if they could store Bitcoin in some multi-sig thing for clients, then that's going to be very powerful in that term, because that's where the money is. The US doesn't have any money to spend on Bitcoin at this point. Okay, so that's that. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the week ahead.